In this video, I'm going to react to the best and worst American motel chains. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. This is the place where I react to music, media, sports, anime, anything related to popular culture. I'll watch it with an open mind and give you my 100% honest reaction to it. And if you could please hit that like button early, I'd really appreciate it. Now this is going to be a really interesting one, and I feel like it's going to be really useful for me just because, as a lot of you know, I'm planning a trip to the US and Canada. I think I'm going to spend around 5 weeks in the US and maybe 2 weeks in Canada. And I've been getting a lot of info that apparently the high-end premium hotels are to be avoided because they will charge you extra for a lot of the things you would assume you'd get for free, like internet, maybe parking a car, for meals and stuff like that. And instead of going to the high-end places, I should go for the sort of mid-range sort of chains, because they will put up more of a fight to get the business. So they'll include a lot of the things that you would have to pay extra for as complimentary. So yeah, I feel like this video is going to really help me out, just because Kyle, the Geography King, does a really great job at breaking down, topics that like have a lot of information and like condensing them and making them like easily digestible for the viewer. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get a good amount of value out of this video. So let's go. This is gonna be me reacting to the best and worst US motel chains. Let's do it. All right, let's go.
Howdy, it's Kyle with a video talking about and comparing the various national motel chains. And this is primarily designed for road trippers, so I'll be looking at some of the national budget motel chains and some of the national mid-level motel chains. So this is not the video to watch if you're interested in learning about the 10,000 thread count sheets and the diamond encrusted faucets at the Ritz-Carlton of the Four Seasons. But if you're interested in learning what are the best and worst motel chains for road trippers and which ones offer the best value, then this is the video for you.
Yeah, definitely.
This is really important information for road trippers for two main reasons. The first is that you'll want to make sure you have all your rooms booked in advance. And a lot of times people think that booking a room at a motel is kind of like booking a table at a restaurant, where you only have to have reservations for the fancy ones and you can just walk right into an Applebee's and grab a table. Well, it doesn't quite work that way at motels. And I've seen it on many occasions where I've been checking in with a reservation and somebody's walked in and asked if there's a room available, and the person's like, no, we have no vacancies. So some of these even cheap motels can surprisingly fill up, especially the ones that are just off the interstate. People that have been driving all day, they're tired, they pull over and just look for the first room that's available. And again, oftentimes they're full. So
I mean, that has got to suck. I mean, imagine you've driven like 400-500 miles, maybe even more considering the vast distances in the US. You get to a motel or a hotel, you're desperate to lay down and rest, and nope, you've got to get back in your car and go looking for another place to stay. I mean, that would really be frustrating. Really be frustrating.
Make sure you do have things booked in advance. And the second reason why this is important information is because you'll probably want to stick to one motel chain for all your reservations. So if you're going to be gone 5, 10 days, however many days you're going to be gone, it's just so much easier to log on to one company's website, make all the reservations there, and you don't have to deal with any kind of hassle if you have to change your itinerary at the last minute. Have to juggle this company's reservation with that one, so it can be kind of a pain. But if you stick all with one motel chain, moving things around a little bit is much easier. So have things booked in advance, stick with one motel chain, and your trip will have a lot less hassle.
Okay.
I'm going to be looking at 3 different levels of motels. The first is going to be the low-end budget motels, and these are the cheapest national chains out there. So if you're primarily interested in saving money, these are the ones you're going to be looking at. The second level is going to be the upper level budget motels, if that makes any sense. They're still budget, they still offer no frills, but tend to be a little bit nicer and of course cost a little bit more. And the third level is going to be the mid-range motels. And so I'm not going to be looking at anything above that, because most people on road trips aren't looking to spend $150, $200 a night on a motel. So again, these are the 3 levels I'm going to be examining. I'll be looking at 18 different national chains in this video. And in my 20 years of road tripping, I've stayed at 16 of them multiple times in various parts of the country. So I'm pretty familiar with these chains as a whole and what they have to offer. And even the two I have not stayed at, I have a pretty good idea what they're like just based on the eyeball test, looking at what kind of neighborhoods they're located in and what they're most comparable to. So without further delay, let's get to the details of the individual chains. At the low-end budget motel level, I'm looking at three major national chains. The first is Motel 6, and that's the one that, of course, has the most locations. They're all over the place. You can always find one. And even after
Looks pretty nice from the outside. Although they do say you can't judge a book by its cover. But it does look pretty good on the outside.
for 20 years of road tripping, I'm still staying at Motel 6. That says something about it. And I stayed at probably 50 different ones, and for the most part, they're perfectly fine. They're, basic, bare bones, no frills, nothing special about it. Most of them are a little rough around the edges, but some of them are also pretty nice, surprisingly. And so a lot of them have been recently renovated, so that's nice. And, a lot of them, again, are a little rough, but, there are very few of them that are kind of sketchy. But there are...
Yeah, it looks like it offers you the bare bones of what you need. A bed, a shower, a TV, just so you've got something on in the background in case you don't have like a laptop or a tablet with you. Yeah, it looks pretty sufficient. Obviously, you would like maybe a pool, but for someone who's looking to, like it says here, great rates, someone looking to save money, this probably is a great shout.
There are a few sketchy Motel 6s. Don't stay at the one in East Oklahoma City. That one is super sketch. But the thing I like about Motel 6 is that you can just book all of them at once, and if you have to change your itinerary last minute, it's no problem. And that happens a lot when road tripping. So say you're traveling along I-40 and you're heading west, and you stop in Amarillo, eat one of those 72-ounce steaks, and you're really regretting it, and you can't get as far as Albuquerque where your reservation is. You can call the 1-800 number and say, hey, we can't make it as far as we thought. Can we change the reservation to, say, Tucumcari kind of thing? And they'll be, oh, yeah, it's perfectly fine, no big deal. Or say the opposite. Say you're making a really good time. We can get farther than Albuquerque. Can we change it to Gallup? Oh, yeah, no problem. So I've done that many times, and there's a decent chance that will happen to you on your road trip. So that's
a really good feature.
It's nice to have all your reservations with one chain because you can change them like that without really any big issue of having to deal with various chains. So
that is a very useful feature because I imagine, it's just hard. Very few people are going to stick to the itinerary. You might meet someone and you might want to chill with them for a day or two. So having that ability to, chop and change is quite useful here.
Again, if I'm going low end budget and I'm going to be traveling by myself, I'm going to be going with Motel 6 most likely. The other major national chains I'm looking at, one is Travelodge, and for the most part, the average Travelodge is perfectly fine. It's just like the average Motel 6, just basic, bare bones, no frills, maybe a little rough around the edges, but, not bad, perfectly fine. But the main difference is that there's a higher percentage of Travelodges that are going to be a little more sketchy. So most of them are fine, but there's a higher percentage that they're not going to be that good. So I usually don't do Travelodge. And if you're going to do, say 10 nights on a road trip, if you're booking Travelodge, there's a pretty good chance that a couple of them are going to be a little dicey. So, and the one major budget national chain I won't stay at all are the Nights Inn. And, these can be pretty rough. And the average Nights Inn is perfectly fine. It's like your Motel 6 or your Travelodge, but there's a much higher percentage of Nights Inn that are pretty sketchy. I use that word a lot, but there are some sketchy ones out there. So, if you're going to book 10 nights at Nights Inn, you're going to get a couple of rough ones. So I tend to stay away from Nights Inn. They're not any cheaper than Motel 6 anyway. So if you're going to go low-end, budget, national chain, I would stick with Motel 6. Okay. It's just the most convenient and the one I do recommend.
It's interesting because Travelodge over here is actually a pretty decent hotel. Obviously, it's not like a 4 or 5 star place, but it's actually pretty good over here. So to hear that, Carl won't stay there in the US is really, really fascinating.
At the upper end budget motel level, I'm looking at Super 8, Red Roof Inn, Howard Johnson, Econo Lodge, and Days Inn. And these 5 are all a little bit more expensive than the low end budget level, but they're also a little bit nicer, but they are still budget. No frills, bare bones, nothing special. But you're also significantly reducing the sketch factor. You're not going to find really a sketchy one of these 5. Some of these might be a little rough around the edges, might need a little bit of renovation, but you're not going to find them that are totally dicey with prostitutes hanging out in the parking lot kind of thing. So, we haven't had any problem with these. I've stayed at plenty of Super 8s and Red Roof Inns and, this whole level of accommodation. Howard Johnson's are perfectly fine for the most part, but of the 5 in this category, they are more likely to be located in kind of weird areas. So, the main clusters for motels are going to be right off the interstate, right downtown, or right near the airport. So, a lot of times, if you're staying at a budget type place, it's not in one of those 3 areas, it can be a little dicey because you have a little more remoteness associated with it. You might have a little more unsavory activities going on in the neighborhood. So, Howard Johnson's might be a perfectly fine place, but it might be located in kind of a ghetto area. I tend to stay away from Econo Lodge and Days Inn because you're paying a little bit more for them, but they tend to be not any better than the low end budget. And there's some perfectly fine Econo Lodge and Days Inn, but you're paying more than the.
Doesn't make sense if if an Econo Lodge is 10-15% more expensive than a Motel 6, but they're both the same level, of quality. Why would you pay more?
Low end budget, but not really getting much more out of it. So if I'm going to go at this level, I'm usually going Super 8 or Red Roof Inn. We've had pretty good success with these two. For the most part, they're perfectly fine. I've never seen a sketchy Super 8 or a Red Roof, but they can be, could use some renovation at sometimes. But these are the ones we usually go with at this level. But a lot of times, you're paying for the average Red Roof Inn. You're paying for the average Super 8 or Howard Johnson, even though that particular property you're staying at might not be any better than the Motel 6 across the street. But because the average Red Roof is better, you're still paying a little bit more. So be a little careful with that. But for the most part, you'll get pretty good value out of this level. And we usually do Super 8 or Red Roof. So, decent level, but you're not going to get much more out of it than you will at a Motel 6 or a Travelodge. At the mid-level range, I'm looking at Comfort Inn, Quality Inn, La Quinta, Hampton, Holiday Inn Express, Jewelry, Wingate, and
Holiday Inn. Yeah, they're over here as well. They're kind of like Holiday Inn and Travelodge are around about the same level over here. They're around about maybe a 3-star place, so pretty decent. So to hear that Holiday Inn is around about that level, but Travelodge is kind of way below that, it's really, really eye-opening.
And Microtel. And without a doubt, these are the ones where you're going to get the most value. They're almost always either recently renovated or they're new properties, and they're almost always located in decent neighborhoods. They all offer free breakfast in the morning, which is nice. So when my wife and I are road tripping, we're going to stay at a hotel on this level. She likes to get up earlier, go down and eat breakfast while I'm still sleeping, so that's really convenient. And you're pretty much guaranteed the place will be pretty nice. And of course, you're going to pay a lot more.
Yeah, that room looks a lot better than some of the other ones mentioned earlier on in the video.
More for it. And over the course of a 10 to 15 day road trip, an extra $40-50 a night for a place, that can really add up. So you can easily add $500 or more to the cost of your trip. So do keep that in mind, even though any individual night isn't going to be that much more. But I've never seen any of the ones in this level even be rough around the edges. They're always at least pretty nice. So you can be pretty much assured that you're going to get a pretty good stay at these places. And even if you're going to go on even if you have a ton of money to spend, I don't recommend going any higher than this level, because if you're on a road trip, you're not going to spend much time in your hotel. So any money spent on a really expensive place, to me, is kind of wasted.
True.
And the one thing I like about this level is that some of these are actually located right in the heart of downtown. So
perfect.
We go to Nashville.
So you can literally go in the hotel and you're not far from all of the attractions, the restaurants.
A lot. And we'll stay at the Holiday Inn Express or the Quality Inn that's right downtown. It's not very expensive, so we can go to a hockey game or go to the bars and afterward just stumble back to the hotel without having to take a cab, which is real nice, and you're not paying a whole lot more for it. So I do like this level of hotel. So you're going to get the most value out of this again, but again, you're going to pay a lot more for it. So do be mindful of the fact that you're going to add several $100s to your overall trip if you're going up to this level as opposed to, say, the low budget level. When road tripping, we usually go with Comfort Inn, Quality Inn, or Jewelry Inn. Comfort and Quality are the same hotel conglomerate. They're pretty much the exact same. They cost the exact same, and they're all over the country, so you can make all your reservations from their website. And if you have to change your booking last minute, kind of like with the Motel 6 I was saying, it's really easy to do, no problem. Jewelry Inn's very nice, but there aren't that many of them, so you really wouldn't be able to do a national road trip and just stay at those. But you can do a trip if you're kind of staying in the east and doing a little more regional road tripping. Holiday Inn Express has kind of crept up their prices recently. They have kind of a strong following. They were new for a while, and then people really got into that value you can get from them. But because of that, they kind of took advantage of it and raised their prices a little bit. So you might pay.
So annoying when companies do that. They release a great product or service. People respond well, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's charge more." It's like
a little bit more for Holiday Inn Express and some of these other ones, but I mean, they're all perfectly fine. And I've never stayed at a Microtel or a Wingate. Those are both part of the Wyndham hotel conglomerate, but they all look about the same, in the same category. They look pretty comparable. And I was looking at some of the reviews online. They seem to be pretty comparable. So you're going to get pretty good value out of anywhere in this range. So I do recommend any of these places at this range. You really can't go wrong. I want to make special mention of Best Western and Ramada. And I don't think these are the best choices for road trippers because they can just be all over the place in terms of quality and price. Anywhere from kind of a cheap place you pull up to your door and it's not much better than the Motel 6, all the way up to a fancy high-rise hotel right downtown. So if you're going to book all your rooms with one of these two chains, I mean, it's going to vary in quality and price throughout your entire trip. So say you live somewhere where the Ramada is a nice high-rise hotel downtown, you might book a room and pull up to it. It's like, wait a minute, this is just a cheap place like Motel 6 kind of thing. Or the exact opposite. Maybe you live somewhere where the Ramada is just that kind of cheap regular place, and then you are booking a room that's actually a fancy high-rise hotel. So I've never seen a sketchy Best Western or Ramada, but the quality is going to be all over the place and the price all over the place. And because of that, I don't think it's the best choice for road trippers. Something else to consider is that Motel 6, Red Roof Inn, and La Quinta are the only three that allow your pet to stay for free. And that might be an important consideration for you. When we road trip, we always have our dog with us, so it's important to stay at a place that allows pets to stay for free. The other places all allow your pets to stay, but they'll either charge it as if it's another person staying there, or they'll charge a cleaning fee. And I'm not going to lie, I smuggled my dog into places that don't allow pets to stay for free, but he's also a little tiny lap dog that doesn't shed, so I don't feel any guilt whatsoever with smuggling in. He's ridden in my backpack as I took him through the lobby to sneak him by into the room. So, again, that might be an important consideration for you. So again, Motel 6, Red Roof Inn, and La Quinta are the three that will allow your pet to stay for free. Another thing to consider is that if you're trying to save money by staying in a motel out in the suburbs, but you also want to go downtown at night to go drinking and partying, and you have to take a cab or an Uber to get back to your motel, factor in the price of that cab or an Uber into your hotel costs.
That's true.
If you're spending $60 a night at the Motel 6 out in the suburbs, it might take you a $30 cab ride to get back out there. So
if that's the case, you might as well just stay in a comfort inn or comfort suites that's like maybe $90 a night, or that's right in the middle of downtown, so you can walk home and you get the better quality. That's what I'd rather do anyway.
Factor that in, because that $100 room right downtown might not be as expensive as you think when you factor in the transportation costs. So that's my overview of the major national motel chains and which ones might be best suited for you for a road trip. My overall recommendations are, if you're going to go cheap, go with the Motel 6. If you want to spend a little bit more money, go with any of the mid-range motels, and you really can't go wrong with any of them. From a road trip perspective, I tend to stay away from Super 8s and Red Roofs and Howard Johnsons. Nothing's particularly wrong with those, but over, say, a 10-day road trip, you're going to spend $200 to $300 more by staying at those places, and you're not going to really feel like you get $200 to $300 more value out of it. So if you want to go cheap, go to the Motel 6, or spend a little bit more to go with the mid-range stuff. That's the best way to do it on your road trip. I hope you found this video useful.
Really
if you
useful.
did, please give me a thumbs up to let me know you.
Really interesting stuff. I've definitely taken a couple of gems from that. I feel like what I'm going to do is, if I do end up spending a lot of time in motels, I reckon Motel 6 and Comfort Inn are going to be my two that I stay in. Just because it seems like Motel 6 is probably the best low budget one in terms of not being in a really sketchy area. And and still being of decent value, and Comfort Inn, having the locations downtown is going to be really useful, because I don't really want to have to get in loads of Ubers and taxis and stuff. I'd rather just pay a bit more for a better location of motel. It just makes the most sense to me. And I actually think I might have stayed in a Comfort Inn before. I think the first time we went to Florida, this was back in 2001. I think my family, we stayed in a Comfort Suites in Orlando. So yeah, I've already got like a bit of familiarity with that place. So yeah, that Motel 6 and Comfort Inn look like my best options. Or let me know in the comments, guys, if you think there's other options that Carl didn't touch on. Like, let me know. I really need to know. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and keep throwing the recommendations my way. I know I say it all the time, but they genuinely help me out, because if I know you enjoyed watching something, I'll definitely enjoy reacting to it. So like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, keep throwing the recommendations, and I'll catch you in the next one.